Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Okay, I have to say, I am rather nervous to make this video. I actually tried to make this video yesterday. I tried to make it several times, and it wasn't going in the direction that I wanted it to go. And I'd also put up an Instagram post asking people what they wanted to know. So I thought that it would probably be better if I waited till today to see what people wanted to know. And there were some common themes to what people wanted to know. So let's rewind a little bit. Please be kind, rewind. Let's rewind a little bit and let me explain to you how this video is coming to fruition. And this is Secrets of a Drama Channel, Part 1. And I say Part 1 because I think that I have so much to talk about that much more will come out. I think people will have more questions once I start talking. So if you have questions you'd like me to answer, please put it in the comment section below. But let me kind of give a little background story to how this specific video came to be made. So a couple days ago, I did a video. I actually never thought that this is where I would be sitting today filming this video. And like I said, I'm kind of nervous to make this video. So a couple days ago, I made a video revisiting Dramageddon. The anniversary of Dramageddon, I think, was May 10th. And so I did a video revisiting Dramageddon 1, Dramageddon 2, and which was the release of Tati's video. And then I also talked a little bit about Lipstickgate, and I read an article in there and things like that. I also talked about payroll and bias and how payroll and bias had greatly affected the relationships of drama channels from, I would say, 2017 through maybe 2021, and greatly affected our personal lives, and also, I would say, the mental health of many drama channels at that time. I don't think people really understand. I mean, when I say it, I think people think that I'm using it as kind of like a jealousy tactic, but unless you lived it at that time, I don't think you really understand how much criticism we took as drama commentary channels for being biased towards somebody or being on somebody's payroll. It was, you know, it was constant on a regular basis. And I shared a little bit about that in my video the other day. And it was interesting because I was going through my text messages last night with several different people to make this video, and I was going through my text messages with Dawson, and at one point we were talking about some video I was going to make, and he said, I know you're getting a lot of heat for bias right now, but don't worry about that stuff. You just need to report authentically, whether it's against me or for me or something to that effect. And I thought, you know, looking back, even Dawson at that time was aware of how great bias was affecting us as drama channels. I mean, it was something that we were thinking about every single day. It was a takedown tactic to really ruin the credibility of drama commentary channels, you know, and what we were speaking about and things like that. So, and also in that video, I kind of hinted at the fallout of Jeffree Star and Manny MUA, and kind of hinted at why that was. And so I got done with that video, and later that night I was reading comments on that video, and a lot of people were asking about the whole situation with Manny and Jeffree, speculating that it was over Nathan, that it was over Nathan's brother. People were speculating all these different things, and I was like, okay, maybe it's time to come out and share this. But then I got this comment, and the comment was really interesting, right? And the comment said something to the effect of, hey, like, I appreciate you, you know, like, I've been around from the beginning, blah, 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 whatever. But it's always seemed like you have been, like, your allegiance is to the influencer. The allegiance is to the influencer that never had your back, right? Instead of to your audience. And I read this comment, and they were like, so we need to know these things, right? And I read this comment, and I started thinking about it. And I was like, you know, it's interesting that that might be the perception that people have. That drama channels to this day, like, if there are secrets that we don't share them out of allegiance to the influencer. Now, I cannot speak to what other drama commentary channels do. I can only speak to my experience. But I can tell you that that is 100% not the case and when it comes to me. My allegiance has been always to the audience, to give you guys a fair representation of what I have seen, whether I share everything that I know or a little bit of it. And it's also been mostly to, in regards to not sharing certain things, to my colleagues in the drama community, okay? And so let me explain this. Much of what I know, much of what other drama commentary channels know, of the secrets that we know that have happened behind the scenes, are things that we heard from one another. that maybe one influencer told that person and then they told us, okay, or vice versa. I do not want to get in a video and share what somebody else told me and betray their trust. It was something that happened a long time ago to a lot of us, and it's happened to me, and it doesn't feel good, and we have mended those fences, and most of us are friendly with each other today, or friends, and I'm not willing to do that, okay? So things that I had heard through other drama commentary channels, you know, my allegiance was to them and to the audience. Now, I will say, when people say to me, and I think there might be this perspective from some people, that we're protecting the influencers, and then go further to say, and they've never done anything to, you know, protect you and whatever and things like that. Okay, so the thing is this, is that we live in this outrage society, right? Where people get very, very upset over so many things, right? Rightfully so. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in this world that's not okay, right? And there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the influencer space that's not okay. But, you know, I've shared so much about the people that I talk about in these videos. You know, people say I talk about the same 5 or 6 people. Well, when it comes to those same 5 or 6 people, I have given everybody out there that has ever watched 2 or 3 of those videos enough information based on what they have put out there publicly that I have not had to search for, I have not had to find. It's things that they themselves, those influencers, have put out there publicly for you to make your own decision, okay? I don't know that me sharing and exposing secrets that you guys don't already know is going to change your mind anymore, right? We live in an outrage society, and yet James Charles, who has, you know, allegations of predatory behavior, got in a video, okay? You can still see the video on YouTube, where he apologizes to his victims that were 14 and 16 at that time, okay? There's factual evidence of multiple straight men that he tried to coerce into thinking that they were bisexual or to have sexual conversations with, and was even willing to, you know, spend money on them, buy plane tickets and things like that. That one alone, I'm not really sure what secret I could tell you guys about James Charles, knowing all of that, that if that's not enough, that he's put out there himself to change your mind, and you're a super fan of James Charles, and you're going to forever be a super fan of James Charles. It's not going to really matter what I tell you, okay? If I go in here and I tell you this about that, and I tell you this about that, it's not going to really matter what I tell you. And so this idea of, well, I owe it to so-and-so, or I owe it to you guys to tell you guys the secrets, because it's always about the consumer. I have given enough information about every person that I've ever talked about on this channel based on information that they have put out there publicly. And I've shared actually quite a bit of what I know personally as well. Conversations that I've had with Gabby Hanna, conversations I've had with Trisha Paytas, conversations I've had with Jeffree Star, conversations I've had with Shane Dawson, conversations I've had with James Charles. I've shared all of that, right? So I'm not really sure what piece of information. It was interesting because when I put this thing up here on Instagram, which I'll share in just a second, I got a lot of people saying things like, what is the most damning piece of information, which I'll answer this question in a second. What's the most damning thing, like damaging thing that you ever heard about an influencer? And what's interesting is the most damaging thing that I know about an influencer is something that happened very publicly and that people still defend, right? And so I'm not really sure what secrets I can share that are going to really, you know, change anybody's opinion. So, you know, let's just be real honest about it, okay? We're a bunch of gossipers over here, you know, and I've never hid from that I'm a gossip tea channel. I mean, back in the day, I joked and said I'm a candle review company, but I have never hid from the fact that I like to gossip, okay? I mean, I've never acted like I've said I'm a shit-talking gossip tea channel, okay? I've said that, all right? I don't try to act like I'm something that I'm not from day one, okay? But let's not act like anything that I'm going to tell you is going to change your mind. If you love these people, and I'm not telling you not to, anything that I say in any video is not going to change your mind, okay? Let's just put that out there, right? So then I'm sitting there and I'm reading through these comments and stuff like that. And then I go over to Twitter and I noticed that Paige Christie was sounding off on Twitter, okay? So Paige is going in and she's talking about Sam from Here for the Tea and her experience with Sam when Sam was still alive. And then she went in and she started talking about Manny and Jeffree Star and their fallout. And I'm watching this and I'm like, did Paige watch she must have watched my video, because that was like one point that everybody wanted to know about. I kind of hinted at it. And I said that Jeffree stood up for somebody. I can't remember how I said it, but Jeffree stood up for somebody and that's why he and Manny aren't friends anymore. Well, Paige completely laid it out, right? Well, that was something that I had heard from other people. And so I was like, and I have heard it from many people, not just drama channels, but influencers too. Many influencers have told me this story. And I was like, okay, well, if Paige is going to put it out there, well, hell's bells, and I guess it's public knowledge and we can talk about it. The thing is, this is where kind of like the deciding line lies for me, is that often these stories that I think a lot of you guys want to know, it's just such common knowledge to most of us because it's so spoken of behind the scenes, that I think, you know, it just kind of is assumed that I think, well, most people probably know or have already figured it out, right? Until I get flooded with, you know, I mean, literally, I put this thing up on Instagram, and I mean, I got more questions than I've ever gotten on a Q&A. I mean, it was like triple the number. I think I got more than like 1,000 responses or something, and it was all like, Jeffree Manny, voice note, what did Shane Dawson say about you behind your back, blah, 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 whatever, and we're going to get to all of that today, because I do want to talk about the voice note situation. Well, actually, not to lead anybody on, because I've got a lot to share in this video, a lot of secrets, which is why this is probably just going to be point one or part one. But when it comes to the voice note, I want to make this very clear, okay? One of the reasons why I haven't shared certain things that I do know, okay, is that, and I know that people think that drama channels are unethical, we don't really care. One of my favorite quotes is, from the movie The Contender. And if you've never seen the movie, it's a fantastic movie. And at the end of the movie, she says, principles only mean something if you stick to them when they're inconvenient, okay? One of the things that I believe is that it is not my place to share a victim's story, okay? That is their story to tell. And it's not about outing somebody, because it's not even the situation in this case. It's not anything to do with that. It's that is their story, and they have a right and the power to own their story as a victim, okay? And the person that is from the voice note is a victim in the story, okay? Is a victim. It is not my place to come out and say who that person is or whatever. If other people want to do that, I'll comment on that later. If that person wants to come out and share who it is, if Jeffree Star wants to come out, or Shane Dawson, or James Charles himself wants to come out and say who it is, and I've said in many videos, if you want to figure it out, okay, all you have to do is go to James Charles' videos. He says in there, okay, who it is. So he's the one that's outing his own victim, right? I want to make that clear. But that's not my story to tell. The reason why I reference the other victims is because their stories have come out. So, and he apologized to his victims. I referenced them, right? But that's not my place to tell their story, okay? When victims have a right to tell their story first, or to come out and say whatever they need to say first. I may comment on that, I may respond to it, I may use it as an example, but knowing something about a victim's story, I'm not going to come out and tell. Now, the implications of the voice note, what's in the voice note, you guys, I think, know what it is, okay? The implication is that James Charles tried something sexually on somebody that didn't want it done to them, okay? And I think everybody knows that that's what the voice note has done at this point. But that person is definitely a victim, right? And everybody wants to know, why do they keep this person a secret and blah, 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 blah. Because that person hasn't come out yet, okay? And let's just take this, I mean, you have to remember one thing, right? Is that, and I think a lot of people ask me, like, what's one thing you realize about these influencers that you, like, didn't know when you started? Well, they're all human beings, okay? Like, they're all human beings having human experiences, right? And so, it's not my place to out a victim, okay? Unless they choose to come out and share their story on their own. And I don't care how many people want to know about that voice note. Everybody knows about the voice note because Jeffree Star talked about the voice note. Everybody has ideas of what the voice note is. I mean, when I talk about it in videos, I mean, it just gets flooded with people literally write comments exactly saying what the voice note is about, okay? Who it's about. People know, you know? But, hey, listen. until that person decides to come out, it's not my place to tell who that person is or whatever, right? And I don't really think that it would change anybody's mind about James Charles today, because James Charles has similar allegations and he still has a huge platform and nobody cares, right? So I put up this Instagram story last night because I was like, okay, somebody said that my Instagram post was shady, and I was like, how was that shady? I don't even understand that. Hold on a second. Oh wait, I got squirrels, and oh, little picture of Boo Radley up there sleeping last night. Okay, I guess it timed out because I got all my screenshots of the questions I wanted to answer anyway. So let me show you. I wrote on here, since all the other drama channels are tired of keeping influencer secrets, I guess I'm ready to finally talk about all this stuff. What have you guys always wanted to know? Let's put it in a video. The day has come. I don't know why somebody said this was like shady. I was being shady when I said that. I don't know what they meant by being shady. I was like, hey, listen, Dustin's come out and shared some stuff. Paige has come out and she's sharing all kinds of stuff. She's still sharing stuff over there today. I was like, all right, girl. And she said on there, somebody said something about her and me, and she's like, yeah, we're tired. It is tiring, right? Because I think the implication is that people think that we know so much. And the reality is, I was actually reading through all of my text messages from Shane Dawson and James Charles and Jeffree Star and stuff last night, and, you know, and Trisha Paytas. And what was interesting was that I had very friendly rapport with them through the years, you know, and back and forth. I think one thing that, and I've said this in videos before, that I don't think they knew was, I caught on very easily, or very quickly, that we were all being used by these people, right? Like, I caught on to that pretty quickly. Somebody asked me in here, like, what was the turning point for me, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I caught on very quickly that these people were using me. When you read the text messages, I mean, I am, like, shining these people on like nobody's business to get information from them, right? And the things that, it's interesting who says what. I will say Jeffree Star is definitely the biggest shit talker of anybody. I mean, I said something about Jake Paul or Logan Paul having, I don't remember who it was, but the one who had a pet pig, and I said I said something about, like, I wanted a pet pig, but my husband would never let me have one, and Jeffree Star said something about, I don't know what the exotic animal laws are in Indiana, but maybe you could have Manny as a pet pig, and I'm like, what? I mean, it's constant, okay? And Jeffree Star's hatred at that time for, and I, you know, to some degree, I think maybe, like, rightfully so, but, I mean, it was constantly, like, I mean, he would put, like, an urn, and he would say, like, this is where their ashes are gonna go, and, I mean, it was pretty dark, you know? Shane Dawson didn't, like, this is the other thing that they do, and I wanted to say this, right? One of the reasons why, like, people are like, go in and read their text messages, go in and share their voice notes and things like that. In reading their text messages, I don't know that it would really be that interesting to a lot of people. I mean, bits and pieces, you guys would be like, oh, damn, seriously, did they say that? But I don't know that it would be really that interesting to you, okay? Definitely not like Trisha Paytas'. Trisha Paytas' text messages were really like just talking to a friend back in the day. A friend that lied a lot, but a friend. So anyway, because when I went through there, I was like, oh, she like full on invited my husband and I to Chicago. I totally even forgot about that. And was like, oh, I'm going to get you tickets for Hamilton and do this. And I was like, oh, whatever happened to that? Like, it's so funny, this stuff that happened. And when I went back and I like was reading some of this stuff, I was like, oh, I kind of forgot about that. Oh, I forgot about that, right? The thing that a lot of these people do, though, is, and Jeffree Star is the king of this, is that they leave voice notes, okay? So they don't text you. Like, if you ask them a question, because like there will be direct questions in there where I'm like, did you do this? And then there's a voice note, right? So they didn't, or the voice note you can see is erased. Like, it goes away, you know, after you listen to it. So they don't text it because they don't want any evidence of that. So they leave a voice note. Well, I am not somebody that records these voice notes. A few of them on Jeffree Star's are still there. I mean, I could play them for you right now. They'd still be there, right? And Shane Dawson did a lot of voice notes, too. James Charles did a lot of voice notes, but he also texted a lot. Trisha Paytas didn't really, I think one time did like a voice note when I was looking through there. So I left this on here, and I just wanted to kind of see what people wanted to know. So let's get into the questions that I have. I pulled some out here that were like the most asked questions. Oh my God, I have so many of them that were the most asked questions. Well, let's just actually, first of all, before I get into this, let's just discuss, since Paige put it out there, let's discuss the fallout of Manny, MUA, and Jeffree Star, since that seems to be something that people really, really want to know, okay? And Paige put the whole thing up on her Twitter account, and she put it at more at length than I'm going to. And I actually reached out to Paige, and I was like, do you care if I read your tweets? And she was like, do you? And whatever. I just told her there was something that she had written that I disagreed with, but other than that, like, I agreed with everything. So you can go over there and you can read. Paige has got the whole thing, okay? I'm just going to give you the condensed version. Y'all, my battery died right as I was getting into this. This is like maybe God saying I shouldn't be talking about all this. So anyway, God's like, no, just leave it, leave it. Okay, so here's the thing. And this is what Paige put up on her Twitter, so I'm just, go over and read. Paige's got the whole thing over there. She's got the whole thing. You can read all the details over there. I'm just going to give you the short version of it, okay? So, a family member of Manny's was interested in dating or getting close with Nikita Dragun, okay? Members of Manny's family did not like that. Did not like the fact that that person was specifically interested in Nikita Dragun because she was trans. Jeffree Star was very upset about this and told Manny that Manny needed to stand up to his family members that had issues with this family member dating Nikita Dragun or being interested in Nikita Dragun, right? And, which is interesting to me when, like, Daniel Prada and Joey Graceffa, they know this story, and everybody knows this story. This is, like, a story everybody behind the scenes knows, okay? And that, this is like a moment where Jeffree Star is standing up for somebody in the LGBTQI plus community, and Daniel Prada, who is still friends with Manny MUA, has the nerve to say, what have you done for the LGBTQI plus community? Well, he did something for one person. He stood up to Manny, and this is why he would say Manny is not a good friend, okay? Because Manny was not willing to stand up to his family for Nikita Dragun and say that what they were doing was wrong, all right? Which was why it was such a huge deal when, after all of that, Gabriel Zamora, Nikita Dragun, Laura Lee, and Manny MUA posted a picture of their finger up, flipping off Jeffree Star, saying, bitch is bitter without us, right? Because we all knew that Jeffree Star had stood up for, well, I think I found that out afterwards, that Jeffree Star had stood up for Nikita. And so it was like, this is weird, right? Like, why is she part of this? Well, what was interesting from that was when I went back and looked at my text messages, Jeffree Star has a lot to say about Gabriel Zamora, about Manny MUA, and about Laura Lee. Like, he really has at that time, had a lot of distaste for Laura Lee. And he really never told me what that was about. I don't know. I think he just thought that, Laura Lee would do anything that Manny said, kind of thing. And so, and there were other issues. I mean, I think Jeffree felt like they all used him to come up and stuff like that on YouTube, and that then they weren't good friends in return. But that was really what the fallout was about. And Paige put the whole thing up there yesterday, so I was like, if Paige put it up there, well, then I'm going to talk about it, So that was what the fallout was with Manny and Jeffree, was that Manny was not willing to stand up for Nikita Dragun, who was one of his dearest friends, and Jeffree was like, okay, this is a moment in time where you have an opportunity to do something's right. You want to talk about how you believe in gay rights, and you believe in the LGBTQI plus community, but you're not even willing to stand up for your good friend in this situation. What does that say about you? And then if that's what that says about you with Nikita Dragun, then what does that say about all of us? Are we all expendable? And that was what Jeffree Star felt at that time, was basically behind the scenes. And that was why he didn't want to be friends with Manny MUA anymore, because he felt like Manny MUA wasn't a good friend, because he wouldn't stand up for his friend, and so that was what Jeffree Star did. So, and, and in all honesty, like, I don't know, like, it's interesting to me what fell out after that. That was why the picture was a bigger deal, and Jeffree saying that Manny's not a good friend. When Jeffree came out and said Manny is not a good friend, he was saying that to one person and one person alone. He was saying that to Manny because he knew that Manny would know what that meant, okay? So that's what that implied. All right, let's get to some of these questions. Woo! Okay, hot potatoes. So somebody said, are there influencers that you know that detest the things they are promoting? I've never heard that from anybody. I've never heard anybody go, oh God, I can't stand this and I have to do a sponsorship. I've never heard that from any influencers. But I have to be honest with you, I haven't really talked to many influencers about sponsorships that they've done, other than Gabby Hanna talking about the brushes that you only had to pay shipping and handling for, or something like that. And I didn't talk to her about, she didn't say anything, I don't remember, in that conversation about not liking the brushes. I just remember she was like, I got myself in this drama and I don't know what to do. And that was the conversation that led into this an hour and a half conversation of her venting her entire life to me. But that was the only person I think I've ever talked to. And, you know, it's interesting, like, when I say these things and then people are like, I mean, the evidence is right in front of you. Like, Lipstick Nick and James Charles just came out and did like a TikTok or a video or something talking about this palette that this, like, I think it was like a Morphe palette that they pushed highly back in the day and said was like the best palette in the entire world. And they both said it was junk and they hated it. I mean, all the information you guys need is like right out there in front of you. It's all right there in front of you for you guys to go find. James Charles and Lipstick Nick talked about it, and I think it was a TikTok or a YouTube video or something, and laughed about it. Laughed about the fact that, and I think I did a video about it, laughed about the fact that all these people spent their hard-earned money on this palette that they were just pushing so that James could later, because he says in the video something to the effect of, well, I got my palette out of it. Basically, the only reason he was pushing this Morphe palette was so that he could get a palette with Morphe, but he didn't really believe in this palette, right? I mean, there's another example of James Charles and who James Charles really is. There's not a whole lot of secrets I have to tell you guys for you guys to see the evidence right in front of your face. You know what I mean? Like, just look for it. It's right there. It's stuff that we've been talking about for years. And so when people say, we talk about the same 5 or 6 people, yeah, I talk about the same 5 or 6 people, but I'm bringing you guys different things that they're doing. They're all things that I'm showing you that are out there, you know, that they're putting out there themselves. Somebody said, did Jeffree Star ever directly threaten anyone? I feel like he's the type to really threaten and harass people. I am not aware of any incident where Jeffree Star has ever directly threatened somebody. I mean, you know, back in the day, you'd see the clips and things like that. But of my knowing of him in the beauty space, I am not aware of, I mean, like, when I say this, I feel like somebody's going to pull a clip from a video that he did. I'm talking about, like, behind the scenes. I feel like that's what you guys are asking me. I don't know of any occasion where he, like, threatened a drama channel, threatened another influencer, and said, if you don't do this, or if you do that, blah, 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 blah. I'm not aware of any incident like that whatsoever. Somebody said, what is the most memorable text you've gotten from an influencer? The most memorable text, I screenshot this for a reason. Okay, so the most memorable text that I got from an influencer are 2 of them. One of them is when Shane Dawson texted me about him thinking that my PR was stolen off of my front porch. I actually read the whole text exchange last night. And, I mean, it was a very nice exchange, but he was like, you were on the PR list. Here's your address. I'm sending you one right now. I was like, no, I'm totally good, you know, Shane. And he was like, no, I want you to have it. Like, I've watched you for years. I've loved you for years. I'm like, oh, while you were shit-talking me behind the scenes, that's when you loved me for years? Okay. He's like, I really want you to have this. I really care about this thing. And I was like, okay. And actually, in the text messages, I said to him, but here's the deal, okay? If I'm going to accept the PR, then I'm going to fully give the entire box and the whole thing to somebody that this fan of yours that I'm doing a video with next week, because there was this girl on my channel, Arlena, that had watched my videos for years. She loved Shane Dawson. She was a super fan of Shane Dawson, and so I was like, here, let me do something nice for her. So if he was going to send me the PR, I didn't want the PR. I made that clear, right? Because we gotten so much shit for getting PR through the years, right? I didn't want it. I didn't care about it, all right? So I literally handed her the entire box in a video and just gave it to her, you know, because I knew it would be something that would make her happy. And he was like, yeah, I just want you to have it, though. Now, he didn't care if I had it. He wanted to prove a point because people were calling him out on Twitter because everybody received the PR except for me, right? And actually, it's interesting because he said on there, oh, somebody said on Twitter that, this is where Shane Dawson is such a liar. He didn't know what I didn't know, right? Somebody said, somebody said on Twitter that you didn't get the PR. I wasn't aware that you didn't get the PR. Well, somebody said on Twitter was Sam from Here for the Tea hitting him up in his DMs and saying, Peter has supported you through the years and had your back, and he's the only person. This is coming directly from Jeffree Star. Don't say it's not, Shane. And that was why he reached out to me. He reached out to me because Sam reached out to Shane Dawson, and I could give a shit about that thing. That was back in the day when people were like, you're so bitter you're not in this series. He mentions all these other drama channels. You're so pissed. Shane Dawson and all them, they had shouted me out a million times. I didn't need it anyway, okay? But you're so jealous about, I'm jealous about a cash grab. That's why I gave the entire PR set to somebody that watches my videos. Did anybody else do that? Did anybody else literally hand over that? You know, no, okay? But that's just me. That's what I did in that situation because I didn't want that junk, all right? So, but anyway, that was the most memorable one to me because when he said something about like, oh, a lot of people are reporting that they're getting like stolen off of their front porches, I was like, girl, seriously? Ain't nobody that pressed, okay, for that collection. And first of all, the box didn't even say anything on the outside of it. It wasn't like Shane Dawson's special collection or anything like that, right? The other most memorable text that and I don't think this is what you meant, I think you meant in a positive way, but the other most memorable text that I received from somebody was on the day of my husband's best friend's funeral, which it was just actually the anniversary of that like 2 days ago. And Trisha Paytas was rampantly texting me about a video that she had done that I had commented on, and I mean, the most foul shit. And she knew that I was at my husband's best friend's funeral. I made it very, very clear to her that that's where we were at. She did not care. I mean, I read the text last night, and it was like, don't ever speak of me, and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, and I'm like, I'm literally at, I think I called her and I left her a message or something and I said, I'm at Alex's best friend's funeral. I cannot speak to you right now. If you want to talk about this tomorrow. And she just kept on flooding me and flooding me and flooding me with texts. I think there's like 2 huge paragraphs of text that she sent me or something like that. I will say Trisha Paytas later apologized to me for that. And we both kind of like, I was like, I apologize for shit that I had done. She apologized for shit that she had done. That was like in DMs on Twitter or something like that later. But anyway, those are the 2 most memorable ones. That one, because I was like, she literally does not care about anybody. She knows, like, I'm willing to have this conversation at any time. This is not the time to be having this conversation. I'm literally at my husband's best friend's funeral, you know? I am somebody that very consciously thinks about when I release videos, all right? I can remember that there was a bunch of drama that was going on with Jeffree Star and one of his dogs passed away. And I was like, no, I'm not making videos about Jeffree Star for a couple days, right? Tati came out and announced that her dog had passed away. I wasn't going to talk about Tati and make videos about her for a couple days. Similar things like that have happened with people, you know, breakups that they've gone through and whatever. And I've always been considerate of that, of thinking of people and what's going on, that these are just human beings. And I'm not going to release a video when they're going through the worst time of their life, right? Like, that's something that my haters have done to me, and I would never do that to somebody out there, right? And if I made that mistake, I would correct it. So, you know, I'm going through one of the worst days of my life, being a support system to my husband, who has literally just lost his best friend, and you don't give a shit. Okay, so that speaks volumes, but she did apologize to me later. But the apology was kind of like, hey, I'm sorry if anything that I did upset you. It wasn't like, that's kind of how Trisha Paytas apologizes. It's like, hey, I'm sorry if anything that I said, oh, you're talking about those 2 paragraphs. You're talking about how I brought evil into your home. Okay, because I had an opinion about something that I'm very passionate about. Anyway, so that was when she came out and she did a video about, you know, white knuckling herself, and I came out and I said that was very dangerous and she was being negligent to her audience. And I stand by that 100% today, okay? Whatever she was going through, that was her truth at that time. To millions of people, okay, that are opioid addicts, to send out that message that somebody can white knuckle it at home. And then in this text message I'm reading last night, she's saying, well, it had been this long since I filmed that video. Okay, I'm like, okay, well, you didn't say that though, right? I think people know I'm passionate about addiction. I have lost friends of mine that have tried to white knuckle it, not get detox, and take themselves off of opiates, all right? That is one moment in time that I had an influencer come for me so hard, write an entire paragraph in a comment section, say I brought evil into her home when I did a collab with her, because I said I felt like she was being negligent to her hundreds of thousands of people that were watching that video that could possibly see that she was white knuckling and be like, I can do this at home. People die when they try to take themselves off of opiates. Thank God it didn't happen to Trisha Paytas, okay? I'm really happy that didn't happen for her today. And I'm happy with where Trisha Paytas is in her life today. And I'm happy that she's on the other side of all of that stuff and that she's happily married and a happy mother. I wish her all the best, right? Okay, but that's one moment in time, I'm telling you right now, I would not back down from. I don't back down from shit to do with addiction and recovery. It's too serious for me. I have lost too many people in my life, right? She also said in that text message that I never reached out to her. And actually, she said, you never reached out to me until, and literally the text message where I reached out to her is right there. So she lied about that too, but whatever. What is Jeffree Star like off camera and Shane? Jeffree Star on the phone talking to him on the phone is exactly like Jeffree Star is on video. It's that very affected, well, yes, that's the same Jeffree Star. I don't know when it stops and starts, but like every time I've talked to Jeffree Star, it's been very similar to that. Shane Dawson, what you see on camera is 100% a character. It is not anything like he is like in person. Shane Dawson in person is very much like me on camera right now. He's like this, okay? And he's like, yeah, let's talk about this, and this is what I have planned, and what do you think about this? And he makes little snide, sarcastic remarks. He's not that like, that shit. No, that is not Shane Dawson in person, okay? At all. Shane Dawson walks tall. He walks confidently, okay? He is... I can remember him walking in there. I've seen the pictures of him with like the Louis Vuitton backpack on. I mean, I met with Shane Dawson in Las Vegas, and actually our text messages about it. It was like, that was how we first started text messaging me. He actually text messaged me first because I think I gave him my number because he asked for it on DMs on Twitter, and I gave it to him, and then he text messaged me first about arranging to meet up. And it was actually on our wedding anniversary that we met, because I can remember then later my husband met Cascade, and Shane Dawson was very nice in person. I've said that. I did a whole video about it. People asked me later, like, well, you said that when you met him he was nice. He was very nice to me that day. They all came in. He, Rylan, Andrew, who else was there? Why can't I think of what his name is? But anyway, they all came in and flipped fans and said beast. I sat down. I mean, Rylan was lying on the floor. We were at the Bond bar at the Cosmopolitan that no longer exists. We were like in this corner of it. There was nobody there. Shane Dawson and Andrew and I sat together and talked. Garrett was the other one. Garrett was going back and forth from Starbucks because he was talking to, he liked some guy that worked at the Starbucks and was hitting on him. He kept on coming back and giving us updates about it. Rylan was lying on the floor going through his phone, and my husband was sitting back on a couch, and it was interesting in my my text messages, because Alex must have said something afterwards about that Andrew guy being single. He didn't understand why he was single. He's like, he seems like a really, really nice guy. But he was like really the only one that ever like really spoke to Alex. Like Alex said to Shane said to Alex, what do you do for a living? And Alex explained it to him. And then Alex looked at Shane and said, what do you do for a living? Because Alex had no clue who these people were. He could care less, right? They were very nice. But towards the conversation, like, it was interesting because later Shane said something in there about, in the text messages about, just share what we talked, or like you can say that we talked about the Jake Paul series when we met. And I'm like, we did talk about the Jake Paul series when we met. You told me what you had planned. You said Trisha Paytas, I said to you, Trisha Paytas said she was going to fly out here if she knew we were going to get together. And you said she's a pathological liar, and they all laughed. I asked you what you thought about Tana Mojo, and you said the thing about sociopaths is. I said, what do you think about Jake Paul? And you said the thing about sociopaths is. You laughed at all of that. It was a joke to you guys. I thought it was like an inside joke that I didn't really get, if you want to know the truth. But they were very nice to me. We sat there for like an hour and a half and just talked. He asked me about every drama channel under the sun. He asked me heavily about Rich Lux. He asked me a lot about Karina Kaboom. And those were really the only people that he asked about at that time. He wasn't really interested in any other drama channels. He asked me how I met Rich Lux. He asked me how I met Karina Kaboom. He asked me if Rich Lux was trustworthy. It's not surprising to me that Rich Lux ended up in that series. He asked me a lot of questions about Rich Lux. And things like that. He asked me a lot of questions about Karina Kaboom. I think he was probably looking to put Karina Kaboom in the series too. At that time, Karina Kaboom, people asked me, she's doing all Amberlynn Reed and Foodie Beauty content at this point. I think she's doing pretty well at that. I wish you all the best. And I have no issues with Karina Kaboom. If Karina Kaboom had not existed, I would not be doing drama today. That's the end story. I actually, we've reached out to each other through the years. She's very hard to get in contact with. I think we emailed a couple times back and forth. I wish her nothing but the best. You know, if she holds any grudges towards me today, I would love to talk to her and just be like, hey girl, I own my shit. I'm sorry for what I said and did in the past. I have no issues with Karina Kaboom today. And yeah, and so, you know, I wish her all the best. I think she's doing something that makes her happy today. But yeah, it was interesting. Like, they were very, very nice to me. My opinion of Shane Dawson changed over time of what I found out about him and what I learned about him, and that who he presents as is not really who he is. And part of that was when I started, like, really kind of watching some of his videos, and I'm like, who he is on camera is not who he is on person. Like, this is all a character, and he uses this character to pull people in, right? Well, then we find out the cancellation. He's been a character for years and years and years, you know? So Shane Dawson's completely different off camera. Why did Jeffree drop Manny like a box of rocks? Already addressed that. Give us the most damning info you got on Jeffree. First time in years I've said that. What was I, why did I, because I screenshot certain questions to answer them for a certain reason. The most damning information that I have on Jeffree. I don't really think that I have. I mean, the thing is, like, when people are like, what do you know and what do you know and blah, 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 like, Gabby Hanna, I had a conversation with Gabby Hanna, okay? In the conversation that I had with Gabby Hanna, Gabby Hanna went in to tell all these different things. She told me things I never even knew, right? That I've later, like, through having conversations with other people, fact-checked. I mean, it was just a conversation like this. She wasn't calculated. She wasn't manipulative. She was truth-telling in that moment. She was very upset with things that Shane Dawson had done because Shane, I was not even aware she had dated Andrew. And she and Andrew had dated. Then Shane Dawson, who considered her one of his close friends, I didn't even know Shane and Gabby were that close. I'd seen him in a video together because he had talked about me in that video. But he had then done a video where Gabby Hanna, or where he set up Andrew on a date, and Gabby was really hurt about that. And so she's like, but I'm starting to learn that Shane Dawson isn't who I think he is. And I said, well, why do you think that, Gabby? And she said, Shane Dawson called me as soon as he got home from meeting with Jeffree Star for the first time. She said, Shane Dawson told me that Jeffree Star still uses racist language and in fact tried to get him to use racist language, and Shane Dawson thought that Jeffree Star was trying to record him, okay? But then told her that he was going to make this series with Jeffree Star, and she goes, why would he make a series with somebody and knowing that he's still using racist language that people have accused him of for years? She was baffled by it. I don't know how many videos I've said that in that people need to hear otherwise. At that same time, multiple people came out and said that Jeffree Star still uses racist language. People don't care. Like I said, we live in this outraged society, but there's literally evidence right in front of your face of a predator with a huge career, okay, that has hurt, you know, 14 and 16-year-old and other, you know, coarse straight men and things like that, and people that use, I mean, nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. So that's probably the most damning thing, and I've shared that in many videos. So yeah. What happened between Jeffree Star and Nathan? Okay, I don't know what happened between Jeffree Star and Nathan. What I will tell you, I've heard is that they had, and I don't know what this was about. I don't know if it's true or whatever. It started as a joke way back in the day, actually with Karina Kaboom. And through the years, it's like more people have said things to me, okay? That there was some contractual relationship. I don't know what that looked like, okay? I don't know if within that contractual relationship, they were friends that ended up becoming, you know, more than that, and they were in love with each other or whatever. You know, Nathan ended up, I think that Nathan, like, hooking up with this girl, that was like the end of them. I think that was something that happened throughout their relationship. Jeffree Star even said they would bring people in and stuff like that, right? I think what happened was Nathan was messy, okay? And I think he was messy and it got exposed and Jeffree had to deal with it and act like he was outraged about it, right? When I think that that was probably something that happened all the time in their relationship. Either way, maybe. I don't know, right? I'm just guessing. But this is what I've heard behind the scenes. That there was some kind of contractual relationship between them. I'm not saying that the relationship said, you have to be my boyfriend, blah, 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 whatever. I think it was near the end of the contract. I have heard things about the house being given to Nathan and that, you know, Nathan tried to fight for a certain amount of money from Jeffree Star, which is why that he still lives in the house and things like that. I don't think Nathan will ever come out and speak about it. I think that he has probably signed some NDA for life. I think he got a huge sum of money from Jeffree Star, it's what I've heard from other people, and got the house and things like that. And I think he might have got some business as well. But I don't know about all that. I'm just telling you what I've heard from other people. I've never heard that from Jeffree Star himself. Jeffree Star has never said anything to me. I don't think I've talked to him since they broke up. But that's just what I've heard behind the scenes. I don't know what the truth is about that. That being said, I also don't think in watching Nathan for a long time that he's somebody that would come out and do a tell-all. I don't think he cares anymore. I think he probably saw, if anybody saw the softer side of Jeffree Star, it was probably him. I do know, like, one of the things I've heard from a lot of people that have been really close with Jeffree Star throughout the years is that he is a very caring person behind the scenes. And I'm not, this does not minimize the shit that he's done. I'm just telling you who he is to his close friends. That he has been a very caring person, that he is a really giving person, he does really care about people, right? I have a feeling Nathan probably saw that side of him on a regular basis. And so do I think that he's going to come out and do some tell-all about Jeffree Star? No, I don't think that that's going to happen at all. I just don't. I don't think he has any interest in doing that, and I don't think that he will. Do I think they had some kind of contractual relationship? I think there was something written up, and I think it was at the end of that. And I don't know if that was part of them being together for real, or if it turned into that, or if the whole thing was fake. I don't know. I just think there was some contract written around that. Somebody also asked me if I have ever been asked to sign an NDA, or if I have ever signed an NDA. I have never signed an NDA in my life, and I have never been asked to sign an NDA. I know that Shane Dawson asked people to sign NDAs. I did not hear that. I've never heard that Jeffree Star asked anybody to sign NDAs, but I heard that Shane Dawson asked people left and right to sign NDAs, and I've heard that from multiple people. And the NDAs are not just NDAs like for it says like ad infinitum or whatever, which means for the entirety of your life. Okay, that's the NDA that you sign when you're around Shane Dawson. So my question to you would be, what are you so worried about hiding, Shane Dawson? It can't be your creativity because you steal your ideas from other people. You know, Shane Dawson, it's interesting because when I was going through my phone last night, I found this text exchange from us. It was when you had gotten done doing one of your series, and I said, I have a great idea for you. And it was when Tana was talking a lot about her stalkers, and I said, you should do an entire documentary series about stalkers, and you should go back and talk about Christina Grimmie and what had happened with her, and you should go back and you should talk about like Tana and interview her and other big YouTubers that have been stalked and how it's affected their personal life. And I'll never forget, okay, when I texted you that, because I kept on looking, and it would be 3 dots, and then it would stop, and then it would be 3 dots, and then it would stop. And then it'd be 3 dots, and then it would stop. And then a half an hour later, and 3 dots. And then finally what you texted me was, oh my God, I cannot believe you said that. That's the next project that I'm working on. How did you guess? Okay? Well, that wasn't you confirming what I had guessed. It was you basically saying, that's a great idea that Peter has, I'm going to steal it with him. Just like you stole James Charles' idea to do the Conspiracy Palette documentary, okay? You don't have any creativity, and that's where I started seeing through you, okay? And that was a moment in time that I was like, he's a total fraud, all right? He's a complete fraud. So, yeah. Anyway, but you asked people to sign NDAs left and right. What are you so afraid of, Shane Dawson, and people saying? I know the people you've asked to sign NDAs. Okay. Next one. Things that Shane said about Trisha and Tana. I mean, I told you. He didn't speak very highly of Trisha. He acted like Trisha was kind of like this friend that he just kind of like kept around. And like, I mean, we talked about her a little bit. And he was kind of like, what's your interest in Trisha? I will say this, though. Trisha acted kind of the same. I mean, she always talked highly of Shane. But I can remember one time, like, I said something in a video. And she goes, do you really think that Shane is hot? And I was like, I mean, I think he's a cute guy. It was after he got his new haircut and stuff like that, and I'd seen him on Johnny McGovern, I can't remember what that show is called, Hey Queen with Johnny McGovern. He had been interviewed on there, and she was like, I mean, he's kind of dirty, like he never showers, and he like pees in bottles around the house. I mean, Trisha said that to me on the phone, and she was like, that really surprises me, and I was like, oh, I didn't know all that, and she's like, yeah, he's kind of like really a dirty person. They kind of talked shit about each other, but I would say definitely Shane Dawson talked more shit about Trisha Paytas. Trisha Paytas really didn't shit talk a lot of people, honestly. And that was like the only one moment that I can think of that she ever really said anything horrible. I can remember like people would say, I'm really worried about Trisha. Can you like call her and see if she's okay? Because she just put out this video where she's crying on the kitchen floor, and I would call her and I'd be like, hey, are you okay? People wanted me to check on you. And she'd say, yeah, like I'm totally fine. Oh, that video was just for views. Like I'm going over to Shane's house right now. We're just going to hang out and blah, blah, blah. And I did that like 3 or 4 times. And then I was like, okay, so she's doing these highly outraged videos, getting people worried about her. And people are asking me to check on her. And when I check on her, she acts like, oh no, I'm going up the street to get Jack in the Box, or I'm going over to Shane's house, which is why I came out in my video and I said what I said. And then she said I called her a liar. Go back and watch that video. I never called her a liar in that video where I talked about her withdrawals. I never once said that she was a liar. I said you don't know with her, right? And that's the truth, and I think that's been proven today. So Shane said that Tana Mojo, he said, well, the thing about sociopaths is, and he said he felt bad for Tana Mojo. And then Trisha Paytas, he called a pathological liar. What's something you always wish everyone knew your perspective, but you always stayed quiet about? I mean, I think I've shared my perspective. I think people just don't, like, I don't know how much factual evidence you need to, like, back up the things that I believe. I screenshot this for something. What's something that you always wish everyone knew your perspective, but you always stayed quiet on? You know, let me come back to that one because I'm not sure. I'm not even, like, halfway through these questions. Is this, okay, this is going to stop in a minute, so hold on just a second. The battery died, and now we're at the 30-minute mark. It's going to be a long video. Okay. How do you organize all your receipts? Always wondered how you can find old ones. Okay, I don't organize them at all, but I know a lot of drama channels that have full files and organize and all that kind of stuff. I don't organize them at all. I kind of am like, when did such and such happen? I'll Google it, and then I'll go back in my receipts, and I'll, like, look for that date, and then around there I have, like, receipts of that kind of stuff like that. So I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't know that if you went through my phone, my pictures, that other than seeing a bunch of, like, screenshots of, like, Instagram stories of Jeffree Star. Oh, I will tell you that you would be surprised by what I have. Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson, James Charles, and Trisha Paytas all told me that I could use things that we texted to each other and that I could make videos about them. Every single one of them, when I was going through the text messages last night, there's always a point where I ask each one of them, do you care if I make a video? And they were like, no, not at all. Every person said that, okay? Jeffree Star said, you can use any of my Instagram, Snapchat footage that you ever want to. Shane Dawson said the same thing about his Instagram footage. Trisha Paytas was like, you can make drama videos on it. This is your job. Make whatever videos you want to make. And James Charles, I asked him if I could reference conversations in the text messages, and he was like, absolutely, you can use them. So for that whole situation, like when people want to say all that kind of stuff, I have the factual evidence of them saying that if I ever have to come out and protect myself. Somebody said Nikita Dragon and Manny's brother. Paige was talking about it on Twitter. There you go. You can go read Paige's thing. What did Gabby Hanna say about Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star? Just talked about that. What was said about Christie, Raw Beauty Christie? You said people told you who she really was, but didn't go into details. I mean, there really isn't a lot of details other than what people told me is that Raw Beauty Christie has always been very focused on the money, how much money she makes, how much money she's getting paid for sponsorships, how much money if she's getting invited on a brand trip, how much this is going to cost, how much that's going to cost, all that kind of stuff, that she's very, very money focused. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, okay? But when you're in your videos and you're calling out people for being like, oh, and they drive in PJs and wear Gucci all day long, when she's obviously talking about Jeffree Star, okay? And you have an issue with Jeffree Star, but you don't take any issue with James Charles, and then you're talking about other people and all the money and all that kind of stuff, then it's kind of a bad look when behind the scenes people are saying that you don't move unless there's money involved, and you're extremely money hungry, and on and on and on, right? That's what I've heard about Christie behind the scenes. I've heard that Christie just cares about herself and just cares about her money. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong about that, right? But just be honest about that. Just act like that's what you care about, instead of acting like all you care about is that you don't have any money and you live in a gnome house in the middle of the woods. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Somebody said, why none of them actually take accountability for the things they say or do? Well, I think this video is a good proof of that, right? Like I said in here, I have, like, through the years shown you guys lots of evidence of how people should think about these people. And a lot of people do. A lot of people are done with these people, but a lot of people still ride hard for these people, right? The reason they don't have to take accountability is because nobody's forcing them to. The reason why James Charles has a thriving career today is because people let him get away with what he did. That's the same reason why Colleen Ballinger will have a thriving career in a couple years, because people will let her get away with it. You know, it's the people that surround them that give them power. When people say that, why do you call it these predator protectors, okay? When you look at things like, you know, systems around people and how systems support people and they support that power, right? When you look at different tiers of getting up in places and things like that, like, it's all part of that. The people that are around you protecting you are giving you your reputation and giving you your name. Without that, you would be standing alone. People have issue with that because I'm calling out their favorites, right? So, in all actuality, that's why they don't have to take accountability. There's no reason for them to. Why would they? We used to live in a world where people were forced to take accountability, okay? Like me having to get in videos and say I was biased towards somebody or I had no credibility. Now nobody forces anybody to take accountability for anything, right? So, you know, it's interesting to me. Somebody said, any weird stuff you know about Moses? Is he the reason Hila and Ethan stay away? I have no idea about any of that kind of stuff whatsoever. I don't know any weird stuff about Moses other than what y'all have read online, and I don't make videos about that stuff. Moses and Trisha seem very happy to me. And I'm not going to speculate about why Hila and Moses and Trisha and Ethan don't get along and things like that. I think they've both put out enough stuff about it that you can speculate on your own. I don't have any factual evidence about that behind the scenes. I don't know anything about that. Is Trisha's husband like a yes man to her? I don't know anything about that. I have no clue. I've never heard anything about that behind the scenes. Have you ever been paid to not post anything that happened? I I've never been paid to post or not post anything from an influencer, okay? I want to make that clear. I have never had somebody say to me, I will give you a pallet in exchange for making this video. I have never had anybody say to me, you need to make this video. I have never said anything to that. Jeffree Star is the one that has come the closest to hinting that. He would say, are you going to let this person get away with this, okay? Or he would send me a receipt of something, of like, I was looking through and he sent me a receipt of something Gabriel Zamora had done, because he was coming real hard for Gabriel Zamora for a while. And then he sent a screenshot of, you know, something else. James Charles moved very similar to that. James Charles would send me stuff and be like, are you gonna talk about this? James Charles got very upset. I actually screenshot it in here. Because I've talked about this before, about influencers getting upset about, hold on a second, about titles that I've used in videos. And when I was going through the text messages, I found it where James Charles was like, I haven't watched this yet, but what is this title, Peter? Ridiculous. And the title was, James Charles starts drama again. Has he learned anything? I said, it's just reading the Instagram post you put. It's not bad. I mean, this is how they would talk to us, right? And, I also found out in the text messages, I asked James Charles, was there, people want to say that I don't ask these people directly. I said, was there legal involved? He said, what do I have to lose at this point? No. And I said, okay, and then we went on and talked about other things. So James Charles came out and said there was no legal involved. So I don't know why Tati Westbrook felt like she needed to get in legal involved when James Charles full on came out and said that there was no legal involved. Okay, let me get back to some of these questions. Organizing receipts. Okay, I'm only about like a third of the way through my questions. So if y'all want a second part of this, let me know. Hold on a second. Okay, Moses, Trisha. I've never been paid. And I will say this too. Of the drama channels that I talk to, which I will say is Dustin Daly, Adam McIntyre, Rich Lux, Nick from The Viewer's Voice, Paige Christie on occasion, and I'm friendly with a couple other ones. I have never, ever once heard of anybody ever receiving any compensation for making a video or not making a video. I've never once heard of anybody ever, nobody has ever said that to me, nobody's ever implied that to me, nobody that I know has ever received anything, any money or anything in exchange for filming a video, okay? Now I will tell you that there is a channel out there, that another drama channel, and none of the people that I mentioned, okay, well, I'll just say it, I heard that it was Here for the Tea, had paid people before to make or not make videos, but I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, so. What did Shane say about you? Please spill all the tea, because I'm so curious. Okay, so this is what happened. I used to be friends with an influencer back in the day called Charles Gross. Charles Gross and I had a falling out. Then Charles Gross and I made up, okay? I think Charles is on TikTok now doing fantastically, so I wish him all the best. I haven't talked to Charles Gross in years, right? A lot of the things that I had said, or a lot of the things that Charles thought that I had said had been manipulated by somebody else that we're not going to even bring into the situation, okay? There was a point when Charles was invited to a Christmas party that Shane Dawson had. Somehow it came up that I was jealous of not getting invited to this Christmas party. What's interesting about this is I can remember talking to Charles about this and being like, I'm so excited for you. You deserve this, because Shane had said something about him going on his podcast. I can't remember if he went on the podcast at the time or not. I even remember that Charles took a picture at the airport of his bag and his boots and posted it. And I was still up. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning when he was flying out there to the Christmas party. And I commented on it or something, or I sent him a text message. I probably still have it. And I was like, hey, I'm so happy for you. Have the best time of your life. I didn't act jealous whatsoever. Shane Dawson turned it into a moment where he left Charles this message that was so scathing. And it was like, Peter Monn, and why would I ever invite him to my Christmas party, and blah, 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 whatever. And he used to be funny, and he has now just turned into the most evil person, and he is so nasty and so rude. And did you hear what he wrote, or what he said about Joey Graceffa's book? He said Joey didn't even write his own book. Joey didn't write his own book, by the way. If you go over and you look at Joey's book, the ghostwriter's name is written underneath Joey's book, okay? And a lot of people know that, because a lot of people haven't written their own damn books, okay? Shane Dawson did write his book. Tyler Oakley did write his book. Joey Graceffa did not write his book, okay? Any of them. None of them Children of Eden books. And I know that, okay? So I'm going to say that on video. If you don't like it, then, I don't know, sue me for saying that. Girl, you got a ghostwriter written right underneath your author's name. You don't ever talk about the ghostwriter on there. It's right underneath there. I'm not the only person that's commented on it on Goodreads either, okay? And Shane, I don't even know how you found my Goodreads, but you were so bent out of shape about that. Then I found out he was talking shit about me to other drama channels like Paige Christie. She just came out recently and said he was talking shit about me. He talked shit about me to other drama channels, okay? Talked a lot of shit about me to other drama channels. Then met up with me and acted like I was the greatest thing in the entire world, right? Okay. Well, you were just really trying to get information on me on drama channels is what you were doing. I now know that in retrospect. That's what he said about me. A bunch of bullshit. It doesn't even really matter. It doesn't really... And I will tell you this. Charles Gross was the one that sent me that receipt because he said, I feel like you need to hear this. I think he sent to me like during Shane Dawson's cancellation. He goes, you have a right to hear how this man was talking to you, about you. I was thankful for it. I have no issues with Charles today. I wish Charles all the best. He seems like he's thriving on TikTok, and I'm happy for him. So anyway, and I will also say this, Charles was somebody that led me in the right direction a lot when I first started on YouTube, gave me a lot of really fantastic advice. So, who is somebody who called you for advice they didn't take that would be surprising to us? Well, I don't know that anybody would surprise you. Gabby Hanna called me for advice. James Charles has asked me for advice. Shane Dawson's asked me for advice. Jeffree Star has asked me for advice. Trisha Paytas has asked me for advice. Jessica Kent has asked me for advice. Other drama channels have asked me for advice. I've asked them for advice. Robbie Christie asked me for advice. I don't think anybody that has ever asked me for advice has ever taken it. And I've never forced it down their throat. I'm just like, because, and I want to make this very, very clear, so when people say that I demand things from people, the way that I've been sponsored in a 12-step program is that I have had amazing sponsors that don't tell me what to do, and I've mentioned this in many videos. So let me explain how I apply this to drama, okay? When I bring something to my sponsor will say, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if I were in your situation, this is what I would do. And that is how I have formed those conversations. They haven't chosen to take me up on it. That's on them, not me, okay? But there's probably many more people that have asked me for suggestions, and I'm just not remembering right now. I mean, I feel like back in the day, people would reach out, and this is what they always say. This is what you do every single day, so I need you to help me with this, right? You don't respect us as drama channels until you ask us and need our help to get you out of some situation because you know this is the kind of stuff that we cover, and then you never take our advice to begin with. So it's whatever. It's baffling to me. But anyway, like I said, you can pay me for that time next time. Just curious, why would any of you keep secrets that were bad, harmful to begin with? Well, I wouldn't unless there were victims involved, and then it's not my place to say. And I haven't, and I've shared a lot of things through the years. Tell us how shady Tati really is. What do you know? I don't know anything behind the scenes of how shady Tati is. And in all honesty, until the whole situation happened with James Charles and all this kind of stuff, nobody really talked about Tati. Tati wasn't really on anybody's radar. Nobody, like, I don't ever, like, Jeffree talked a lot about, like, Jaclyn Hill and Nikita Dragon, Manny and Laura James. He never talked about Tati Westbrook, ever. Nobody ever talked about Tati Westbrook. I think it was a huge surprise. I remember when Tati did the video with Jeffree Star in the plane, and she got a lot of backlash for it. And then she went to game night with all of them. It was like Manny, Laura, Jeffree, and Tati, and Gabriel, or something like that at game night. And she got a lot of backlash for that. I think Tati's career would be a lot different now had she never involved herself with those people. Because I can tell you right now, behind the scenes, nobody was talking about Tati. Nobody was. And I will tell you that I haven't really heard anybody ever say anything shady that you haven't heard, where, like, Shane's like, you know, she was talking to drama channels. Girl, you were talking to drama channels too, okay, Shane? You were talking to drama channels a lot longer before Tati Westbrook ever was. You had him up in your series, girl. You had him up in your series in contrived situations that you acted like it was one thing when it was something else, girl. Okay, let's not even go there. Let's not even go there and act like Miss Tati did something that you didn't do. You're just pissed that she did it first and she got to you, okay? Jeffree Star started talking to drama channels. Trisha Paytas started talking to drama channels. Shane Dawson started talking to drama channels. Listen, I have it all dated in my phone of when the first time you shouted me out and all that kind of stuff. So don't act like Tati Westbrook was the only one that was talking to drama channels at that time, okay? In retrospect, I know that other people knew that Tati's video was coming out from you, Shane, okay? You told drama channels, Shane, that Tati's video was coming out. You didn't tell me, but you told other drama channels, didn't you, Shane, okay? So, listen, we got each other's backs. So don't act like you're, oh my God, Miss Tati, she was talking to drama channels. Girl, you told people that her video was coming out. You knew it. You knew her video was coming out because you and Jeffree Star worked so hard on her releasing the video, you know? So I don't really think that she really, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think some of the things she's done since. Somebody asked me, like, who's somebody that's oh, this is why I put this comment on here the other day. Who's somebody that's contacted you for advice? I'll tell you somebody that's contacted me that blew me the fuck away. And when I looked up the email and verified it and made it was real, Tati Westbrook's ex-partner reached out to me. I did not respond to him, Tati. I did not email him back. I'm not getting into all that mess. I know how that goes, okay? He done commented on a video of mine, and then he emailed me and told me he commented on a video of mine. I'm like, girl, you think I want anything to do with this mess? I see how you play. Oh no, ma'am, I am not getting involved in all that. Okay. He's got all kinds of business to do with all this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh no, I'm getting away. I was so surprised. I called Dustin daily. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, Dustin, I said, you will never guess who just emailed me. He said, who? And I said, Tati Westbrook's partner. He goes, girl, don't respond. I said, oh, I didn't. Who has been mean to you? I mean, nobody's really been mean to me when I met him. Trisha Paytas was absolutely glorious when I met her. She was so nice, so down to earth. I think the thing that surprised me, and I can say this now because she doesn't live in the same place, was how hard it was to get to Trisha. Like, Trisha literally sent me instructions with private words to use. The private words were kind of funny, and I would never, of course, share that kind of stuff. But she was so nice. She was so down to earth. Like, Trisha Paytas, I will say, one of the things that has surprised me through the years, Jeffree Star is like this. Shane Dawson is the one person that's not like this. But, like, Amelia Fart was super nice. Trisha's super nice. All the people that I met out there, but they're very professional. Like, they know they're doing this sponsored video on this day and this day and this day. That surprised me, you know? So, but everybody was really nice to me when I met them. It was just, you know, after the fact. Did payrolls actually exist? Which T channels were secretly partnered with who? No T channels were ever secretly partnered with anybody. It was friendships were built, and then it was harder to talk about people because influencers have been so nice to us. That's really what it was. And a lot of drama channels never even suffered from that. Some drama channels would talk to these people and then come right out and make a video the next day on them with their full opinion and stuff on it. And I'm sure they received text messages just like I did. I'll never forget making my TanaCon video and Shane Dawson dipping into my DMs. So pissed. This is my moment to shine, and the internet has given me hell and bullied me for 10 years, and you won't let me have my one moment with Tana. I was like, okay, girl, have your moment. I don't want to take your moment away from you with TanaCon, okay? What Gabby Hanna told you on the call you had, I told you what, nobody wants to hear about it. Do influencers shit talk their fans, have they to you? I have never once, ever, had any influencer shit talk their fans to me. Now, I will tell you that there are people that I have talked to that I think care more about their fans than other people. I would say of all the people I've ever talked to, all the influencers, I would say Trisha Paytas probably cares the most about her fans. That's just the truth. She seems to really like, she showed me stuff her fans had sent her when I was there. She seems to get very excited about that. I think Trisha Paytas is somebody that, and I think that's a lot of what I related to when I first started watching her, was she really does care a lot about her fans. I don't get the impression that Shane Dawson really gives a shit. I think he just wants to make videos and whatever. Manny and Laura, I don't think they care about their fans at all, if you want to know the truth. And in fact, I actually found this text message. I forgot I made this video. There was an incident where Manny MUA was laughing at somebody that came to a meet and greet. The girl shared her story, and she had Asperger's, and Manny made fun of her, and so it became this huge thing. People covered it, and she loved Jeffree Star. I reached out to Jeffree Star, and Jeffree Star said, give me her address, and oh my God, this battery is dying too, and he sent her his entire, I'm going to stop this, hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. So there was this situation, like I was explaining, with this fan that met Manny, and I think the clip is still out there, and he's like, he like laughs at her getting excited. I think maybe she's meeting Jeffree Star or something like that. Jeffree and Manny are together. I can't remember what the situation is. It happened years ago. I actually made a video about it because I asked him in the text message. I was like, do you care if I make a text message or make a video about this and refer to your text messages? And he was like, something like, I'd rather if you didn't, but no, I don't care. Talking about Jeffree Star sending her the entire, he didn't want any attention. He like, her mom reached out to me and was like, oh my God, can you send Jeffree this message? Like, he literally sent this girl his entire collection and didn't want anybody to know about it. I asked him if I could mention it in a video, and he was like, I guess, but I'd rather not. Like, he didn't want any attention off of that at all. Jeffree Star has done a lot for fans behind the scenes that people don't ever know about and that people don't talk about. I would say there's very few people like that I know. I will tell you one person that I know that absolutely rides so hard for their fans. Well, two people, actually. Christina Randall, I know, is like rides so hard for her fans. She loves her fans. But the person that I have met probably in the influencer space, which I think sounds so phony, that I think is the biggest fan connector, fan lover is Emily Baker. Like, I mean, she is just like enthralled with all of this. She loves it. She is the hardest worker I have ever met on YouTube, period, in the story. Reads like, gets off doing videos and like reads depositions for 8 hours. The other thing I love about her is that she actually like schedules time to spend with her family and friends and do things that make her happy. And I love that about her, you know? And she's somebody that like, I mean, she loves her fans. Emily Baker loves her fans. I have told her, like, my sponsor didn't even know that I knew her and watches her. My book club partner watches her and, like, loves her. And when I'd say it, she's like, oh my God, I'm so excited. She gets so excited when people, like, you know, anyway. But and I would say, like, not a lot of people, like, the reason I say Manny and Laura is because I don't think I've ever heard Manny and Laura ever say anything about that. There's a sense of entitlement that comes to kind of some of those people. Like, James Charles, I don't think really gives a shit about his fans. I think he just cares about the fame and stuff like that. The reason I say it with Shane Dawson is because I haven't really seen Shane Dawson do things that I think that you would do if you really cared about your fans in his situation. I will say that when we were leaving, when we were in Vegas, this dad and his son that was very young stopped, and I think this is maybe my only encounter with being like somebody like on Shane Dawson's level, stopped and asked if he could take a picture with Shane Dawson. His son was like 10 or something like that. And he was like, my son loves you. Can he take a picture with you? And Shane was super, super nice about that. So, but I just feel like I don't see Shane talk about his fans and stuff like that. But in that moment, I will tell you, Shane was just absolutely like really nice. His dad went overboard, took a picture, like signed something for this kid and everything like that. And they were really, really nice and just kind of went on their way. So yeah, but anyway, I feel like if Shane really cared about his audience, he would have addressed more of what happened. And I think that's what the right thing to do would have been. You know, I take issue with all these people over one thing or another. Some of them are more serious than other, but I've like always said this from the very beginning. I want these people to grow and change, just like I want it for myself, you know? And no, I don't feel like I'm perfect Peter. You know, I've got a lot of shit to work on in my life. I always will, right? But they're influencers and I'm a drama channel, and that's what I've done. And I will say, Trisha Paytas is somebody that's always understood that from the very beginning. But I've never heard any influencer shit talk their fans. Never. I've never heard that. I've never heard any drama channel shit talk their fans. And I've never heard anybody ever say something like, oh my God, I can't deal with this, blah, 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 whatever. Truth about here for the tea behind the scenes. Okay. And then it talks about who was behind the takedown of all the, I don't know who was behind all the takedown, all that kind of stuff. Well, Paige has put out a lot of stuff about Sam for here from the tea, but my relationship with Sam was completely different than Paige's. So, and I would say that Dustin's relationship was similar to mine with Sam through the years. So, Sam and I were on and off for years and years and years, okay? And there would be like 6 to 9 months where we would be very, very close. And I mean, like, she was probably one of the closest drama channels I talked to for a very long time. And we didn't really talk about a lot of drama. Sometimes we would. I know that before she passed, because I helped her on a lot of it, like 6 months before, because that was when the fallout of us happened, or like a year before, something like that. She was working on an Ace Family video that she extensively was working on, and she would do that. And so, I mean, I literally had the text messages where she was sending me like things, and she wanted me to edit them for her, and I would say, no, this sentence sounds better. And then she'd say, wow, you really are a good writer. And I'd say, thanks, Sam, and whatever. But most of our conversations were about our marriages, our dogs. She'd drive through McDonald's and get her poutine or her Starbucks for the day, and we'd talk about our lives and TV shows. She liked a lot of reality TV and shopping. We talked about all that kind of stuff. We were friends. Sam was a friend of mine. She was a good friend of mine. And Sam actually gave me a lot of really good advice through the years. And, yeah, I'm really sad she's gone. The thing is that Sam could be the greatest friend, but she could also be the worst enemy. And every time that we fell out, and I'm just going to share this because this is my story, and I'm tired of people rewriting the narrative and acting like, oh, she was going to expose you for this, and she was going to expose you for that. So I'll tell you exactly the truth of what was going to happen. every time that we would fall out over something so petty, and I will tell you what the last time was about in a second, she would threaten to expose things about me that I had told her as a friend. Things that had to do with my personal life. Things that I had shared with her, okay? Now, she had shared a lot of things with me about her personal life, too. She had shared a lot of things to me about her family and on and on and on, and I had shared those things with her, too, and I would never, ever, ever share those things with anybody else. Never put them out there to weaponize them against anybody else, and she knew that. She took advantage of the fact that she knew that I would never do that to her, okay? And so, the last time that we were talking and we were friends, I had been there for her through a lot of things. I'm not going to bring them all up, and she had been there for me, and she gave me great advice, and, you know, on and on and on. I had made a video about, I can't remember what it was. Daniel Prada had made a comment about Shane Dawson or something like that. And I had used the comment of Daniel Prada in a video, okay? Because he had commented on her thing on Instagram or something like that. And I had used his comment and I read it. And I also shouted out her channel. And I said, she also has, because at that point she wasn't posting videos. She hadn't posted videos in like 2 years. She was terrified to come back. She didn't think she'd get any views. She didn't think there was any reason to come back. She was like always constantly, she was working on a Cole Kerrigan video forever and working on this Ace Family video. I have all, people want to say this isn't true. To defend myself, I will throw out those receipts. They're not even receipts, they're just text messages of where I literally scripted like parts of her videos for her and other people that she did this too, okay? And so, there was a lot of that, and then I called her, and I said, like, the video went live, and I said, I just wanted you to know, I used this, quote that Daniel Prada wrote or this comment on your Instagram, but I shouted your channel out, and I said, hey, go check out her Instagram, because she was trying to build her Instagram. I said, she posts over there daily, she posts about all pop culture, and YouTuber, influencer drama, and things like that. Please go follow Here for the Tea. I fully credited her and everything in the video, said it in the video. She said, you did what? I'll never forget, I was standing in my kitchen downstairs, I had just come home, and I read the comment that Daniel Prada, now I do this a lot in my videos, I read comments that people write, comments from nobody, comments from somebody's, okay, on Instagrams, I've done it for years. I said, I read a comment that Daniel Prada wrote underneath your Shane Dawson. Oh, no, this was it, this was what it was. She had taken a clip of my video, okay, that I had done about Shane Dawson. She had put my clip of my video on her Instagram. Daniel Prada had commented underneath it. So I had used Daniel Prada's clip that she had used from my video on her Instagram. And I said, yeah, but I want you to know, like, I fully gave you credit and I shouted out your channel and whatever. And she goes, you used my influencer friendships and relationships to further your career? I go, Sam, what are you even talking about? I'm so confused. She goes, you used my personal relationship with Daniel Prada to get views on a video? I said, Sam, I read a comment that I wrote on your Instagram post. I gave you full credit for it on your thing, of which you used my video. Now, that video does not exist anymore. She took it down after that. And I said, I'm giving you full credit. And she said, I am done. And I go, she goes, you know how important my influencer relationships are to me, because she had for years built relationships with Manny MUA, and Daniel Prada was one of her closest friends, and Jackie Aina was one of her closest friends, and all these people that she would talk to, and she would always constantly talk about it, right? When it was like me and Dustin Daly that were on the phone with her and her friend Jen for 4 hours, okay, trying to like get her into a good space. Well, I had always begged for her friendship back after that, okay? Whenever we would have a falling out, it would always be over something like that. Oh, you took this receipt. Or, oh, you talked to Paige Christie. Well, you talked to Paige Christie. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. And then it would just be the nastiest tweets that she would put out about me, right? And then she would text me something like, yeah, wait till you see what I'm going to put out about you next. Remember when you told me about this, this, and this? And I'm like, I felt so scared to even move, okay? Like, I felt like I could never speak or say anything, right? Well, that last time, I was done. I was like, oh, no, nobody's gonna own me anymore. I'm done, okay? Didn't call her, didn't ask for her, whatever. Somebody asked me on here, they said, was Sam Here for the Tea pissed at me when I met up with Rich Lux in Las Vegas and took a picture with him? She 100% was. She posted it on her Twitter account and said, I have lots to say about this. What did she have to say? Rich Lux and I were not friends for 6 months prior to that. Rich Lux and I made up. At the time that Rich Lux and I were not friends, she said to me, he wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. I told Rich that. I told Rich that she said that. I said, is that true, Rich? Or do you have my back? Because I've had your back a lot, Rich. People don't think we have these conversations. I've confronted Rich about a lot of the shit that he's done. He's confronted me about shit that I've done online and things we don't agree with. I can't stand by this. And he might say some of the same things. Dustin and I, Paige and I, we've all had those conversations. Rich and I made up. We were both in Las Vegas at the same time, staying in the same hotel. He came down, we gambled together, we took a picture together. She could not handle it. She could not handle it. She was so pissed. I'm exposing everything. I was like, I have sat here and told this woman literally details of my marriage, details about this. She's told me details about her marriage, you know, all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to be threatened to not come out and take a picture with somebody anymore because she's got an issue with him. I'm not going to do that. She never wanted anybody to make up with anybody, you know, and that was it. And then she passed away. And Paige said something about the only two people that knew were her friend at the time, Jen, and that Paige said that they hadn't been friends for a while. I don't know how long it had been since they had been friends. And Manny. They both called me because they had heard it from her sister. And Manny, when he talked to me, said that he had just talked to Sam the week before, and that Sam said that she was thinking about calling me and apologizing and trying to work things out with me. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if Manny just said that to be nice. I don't know. I appreciate Manny to this day for calling me. We had a nice conversation. That was actually the conversation where we talked, and he said to me on the phone that day, I don't even know how it got into this part, but if you knew James, you would know that he's not that person behind the scenes. I don't know why, but he was one of the people that called me and told me. I think he was the first person that called me and told me about Sam passing away. And it makes me sad to this day. And I'm sad that we weren't able to work things out. I'm not sad that I stood my ground. I was afraid of her. I would like put out a tweet and she'd say, "You're not going to make a video about this." And I'd say, "Yeah, I'm going to make a video." "Oh, no. No, you're not. You're not going to make a video about this." She said it to all of us back in the day. And if you didn't go with what she wanted, she came out against you. And yeah, so it was a scary time, you know? And when we were really good friends, we were really good friends. Really good friends. She told me one time, she's like, "You know more about me than anybody that I've ever talked to on here." And there's a lot of speculation going online about this person, Jen, online. And I just want to say, I can't speak to other people's experiences with her. And that was one of Sam's closest friends. But that person has been somebody that we did not get along at the beginning. She later apologized to me. And since that moment, and I just feel like I need to speak this truth on here, has been one of the dearest people to me in my entire life and has walked me through some of the most difficult times in my life, was somebody that has been there through a lot for me. And I'm really, really grateful for that person, and I consider her a dear friend. And I know that other people don't have that experience with her, but that was because she reached out to me and asked for forgiveness and asked for us to make up, and we did. And, you know, and I'm grateful for that. I mean, one of the greatest friends I've ever had, and she had my back. I don't know what her relationship was. Well, I do know a little bit, but that's not mine to speak of her and Sam. And I'm not going to get into that, but I do feel like I have to be honest about that. She has been there. I mean, she was there for me through so many things in my life and has been such a loving, kind, and supportive person. And I know other people have different experiences with her than that, but that's not mine. And my experience with Sam was that in the moments that we were laughing, I'm like, I can just see it right now. And we were having these really good moments of talking. It was really, really good, you know? She was somebody I talked to when I was on vacation, you know? I'd call her up on vacation. She was somebody, I mean, I talked to her all the time. But when it was bad, it was really bad. And people only see that piece online, right? They only see the piece where she was putting out threatening tweets to expose me. They don't see the good parts. Well, with any friendship in life, there's going to be ebbs and flows. You know, I don't know. I wish that I had been closer with her towards the end. I don't know that it would have made any difference, but I wish I had. And I miss her. I miss the good days, you know? And I have a lot of friends that I've lost in my life that I don't miss necessarily the condition of our friendship at times, but I miss the friendship, you know? And I miss that with her. So, okay. Why Nate didn't want James around Jeffree's house, I have absolutely no idea what that's about at all. I have to assume that that has to do with the allegations about James Charles, and I think Jeffree Star was one of the first people that knew about that. Have you ever learned anything so foul about an influencer made you think about quitting? Baby, I ain't quitting this. I'm not stopping, okay? You're going to have to drag me off of YouTube. I'm not stopping, and nothing that I've ever heard has ever been like, I mean, it's about them, not me, right? So You know, I can only work on myself and fix myself. What is it you always allude to about how Bill Stesh feels about Manny and MUA? Well, I mean, I think Dustin Daly said it in his video, didn't he? I mean, Dustin, go ask Dustin. And I'll ask Dustin if he cares if I talk about it in a video. This is where, like, I'm not gonna, I mean, I heard it from Dustin, right? When Dustin had dinner with them. So, I mean, I'm not gonna, yeah, and that's not mine to betray Dustin's, you know. But Dustin came out in a video and he talked about it. So I don't know why you know what I mean? This is where, like, I'm not gonna betray somebody's trust. What's the deal with Smokey Glow? I don't know what the deal is with Smokey Glow. I wish Smokey Glow all the best. I think she's going through a lot of stuff, and I think she just doesn't want to live out loud on the internet right now, and I hope she comes back someday. She seemed very happy when she was online, and I wish her all the best. I think she's gone through a lot of really hard shit in the last couple years, and I don't wish that on anybody. So I wish Smokey Glow the best. I've never really had issues with Hannah at all. Were Daniel and Joey in a fake relationship? I mean, I've heard that from so many people. It's just ridiculous how many people I've heard it from. What advice would you give 2016 Peter about the drama channel world he was entering? Don't ever get into any fights with any drama channels is what I would say, and see them as your colleagues and talk things out with them. You can always talk things out with them. You know, Paige Christie said to me a while ago when we talked, she said, we've all grown up. Like, and that's the thing. We grew up online doing drama. I mean, it was, you know, it was a time. Did you hear the infamous voicemail Jeffree said he had on James? I've never heard it, but I've talked to people that have heard it. I've never had to sign an NDA. Okay, where are my other pictures? Oh, my husband is calling me. Hold on a second. People are commenting on what I should name my new fern. What is a disturbing truth that shocked you the most about influencers behind the scenes? Well, the most shocking thing, I thought about this for a while, that I've ever heard is not something that I heard behind the scenes. It's actually the Colleen Ballinger allegations. And I think the thing is that even knowing what Adam McIntyre had come out with 4 years ago, I didn't expect the length and the depth that it went to with Colleen Ballinger. You know, that she was the most likable person on YouTube, that people really trusted her, things like that. She was family friendly to some degree. It really surprises me how far it went, how calculated it was, and how little responsibility she's taken for it. I think the one thing is that baffles me about it is that the allegations came out, which those were so surprising and so baffling to me. I never in a million years would have guessed that about Colleen Ballinger, okay? But then the lack of accountability of, okay, we thought you were this good person that would never do these things. Now, that if you really were that good person and maybe you just made some really shitty mistakes, that good person would come out and be like, I am so sorry, you guys. I effed up on a level of, I owe Adam McIntyre, Becky, Oliver, an apology for how myself and my family acted, public apology, private apology. I think that's who I expected Colleen Ballinger to be. The fact that we thought she was this good person that would never act this way, and then to come out and find out that she can't even take accountability for it is like, she was never this person. She is like maybe one of the nastiest human beings that has ever existed, the most selfish human beings that is only out for herself, and that's really scary implication, right? So that. Okay. Share text messages and voice memos. Would love to know what they would say. Well, I'm not going to read them all, and I have to tell you, there are many. Like, I mean, we're talking years of text messages to get on here and read them, and most of them would be boring for you, and some of it's just like people just being like, hey, and did you know this, and have you watched this show, and it's not that really exciting. I would say, like, Shane Dawson and James Charles, the text messages with them are very, like, business. Jeffree Star and Trisha, the text messages kind of are a little bit more friendlier through the years. They're not always just about stuff that's going on. Definitely Trisha's were like that. And I'm not somebody that, like, unless I have to prove something, like, factually, that I'm going to get on here and I'm going to do all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Okay. Do you know why Ashley Kyle disappeared? I have no idea. I talked to Ashley Kyle right as she was attempting to start. She and I used to talk on a pretty regular basis. And I have a lot of love for Ashley Kyle. I wish the best for her as well. She and I talked right as she was trying to come back and start making some kind of videos, or some videos again. She was going through a lot of things in her own life, and I think she just didn't want to be on the internet anymore. I think that's just really a lot of what it was. But I missed her being online. Who is seemingly unproblematic, but you think is a snake behind the scenes? I think, well, everybody has that ability. Is Trisha Paytas really as dumb as she comes across, or is it just an act? I think in some situations, like I was watching this thing the other day, somebody put it up as a response to something. It's where she's like doing this mukbang in her car, and she's talking to the person that eats, or it's like walking by her, or it's like at the fast food restaurant. She's like, what? Oh yeah, like I think in the moment, like she's like all of us, kind of like she doesn't really get it at the time, but she is very, very smart as a businesswoman and knows what she's doing. Like I will say that, and I mean she knows what she's doing. Do I think like the dumb act? I think sometimes she's like, and I think this is what's relatable to her for people, is that the dumb act is kind of, I mean, it's very real, right? It's kind of like she doesn't really get what somebody's saying to her, and then she kind of gets the joke late. Like, I'm very much like that. In those moments, no, I don't think it's an act. But I think the overall dumb act of like her getting in a video and saying that she commented something about David Dobrik when she knows good and damn well it was about Ethan Klein in front of me. That's the dumb act, okay? But those little moments there and there that you see, no, that's not a dumb act, I don't think. Have any influencers come to you that you haven't talked about? Who? Oh, shoot. I thought about this last night. I was like, I did think of somebody. I mean, I can't remember if has anybody ever come to me that, no, I don't think, I think maybe this is the one I saved to talk about Tati's partner reaching out to me. I don't know why he did. What happened when you and Shane met up, shared about that. The moment in your YouTube career that made you start questioning everything and everyone. The moment in my YouTube career when I realized that people are really, well, I think it was the Shane Dawson moment for me, was when I met with Amelia Fart in LA, and Trisha was going to meet up with us, and then Trisha was like, oh, I've got to film something, which was Shane, and I was like, something's going on behind here, and I'm not invited to it, and I'm not sure what's going on, but like, they knew I was doing this with Amelia Fart. I was trying to surprise Amelia Fart with Trisha Paytas because Amelia Fart loved Trisha Paytas. Amelia Fart is one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life, and what you see is what you get. I will say that 100%. Trisha knew I was trying to set her up with Amelia Fart because I wanted to surprise her, and I thought that would be a moment. Shane Dawson found out about that. Shane Dawson set up a thing to have Amelia come to his house with Trisha Paytas, and then he surprised her. They made videos about it, all that kind of stuff. Shane Dawson actually even texted me, and I read the text messages last night, and he was like, oh, I didn't even know that we were going to film this till the last minute. He calculated the whole thing when he found out that I was going to do the video with Trisha Paytas and Amelia Fart, and actually, we were never even going to film a video. I just wanted her to meet her. I was never doing it for views. Shane did it for views. When he found that out, he, like, moved everything, because I had asked him, I said, are you filming anything? Can you meet? He was like, oh, I can't meet because I'm filming this and I have to do all this editing and whatever. And then all of a sudden he's doing this huge project. But it was the whole thing. The man does not have an original idea, okay? And whatever, he can take all of my ideas because I can come up with 100 more. But he texted me, he's like, oh, I totally didn't know, and like, if I knew that you were like, I would have had you come out here too. I'm literally with Amelia Fart, right? And I'm putting her in an Uber, and I texted him, and I said, hey, I'm putting Amelia in an Uber, hope she gets there to you, okay? Hope you guys have a good time. He knew I knew. So that was the moment for me. I was like, this man has now, like, screwed me over so many times and act nice to my face. He is completely fake, and this is the one thing. Completely be an asshole to my face. I can handle that. At least I know who you are. But don't act two-faced to me. I can't stand that bullshit. I think it's fake, okay? And I think everybody's starting to realize, and I think Trisha Paytas, that's why she said, don't be posting no pictures of me with Shane Dawson. That was a hard time. I think she realized Shane Dawson wasn't who she thought she was, or he was. I think a lot of people have realized that. I think Shane Dawson knows everybody's caught on to it. It's not serving him well. Any secrets Trisha Paytas told you behind the scenes when you did your collab? No, she didn't tell me any secrets behind the scenes. I will tell you one of the things I found that was kind of surprising was when I was text messaging her when she was with Jason Nash, and how really in love she was with him, and how much she was talking about how much she really loved him and stuff like that. Like, it wasn't performative. It was just like in her text messages. That kind of surprised me. I didn't remember that. Have you ever asked to lie or be shady about a product sponsorship by the company? I have never, ever been asked to do that. People will reach out to me and they'll say, we'd like to work with you. I get asked, recently I've been asked to do this quite a bit about things like gaming chairs. I mean, things that don't even fit like anything that I do, right? And then I always say to them, hey, if you send me the product, I'll try it out. And if I can endorse it, then we can talk about a sponsorship. But it will be an honest review. If I do it from my review channel, I'm like, you can send me the product product in exchange for a review, but it's going to be an honest review. I would say about 90% of the companies don't ever respond to me because they don't want an honest review. But no, any company that I've ever done a sponsorship with always wants to check the video out to make sure that it's disclosed appropriately. So, yeah. Okay. Your decision to talk about heavier subjects and what you chose not to speak about then. The reason I didn't speak about it then was because I always wanted my channel to be an escape for people, lighthearted and stuff like that. When the Colleen Ballinger stuff came out, so many people were asking me to talk about it. And what they said was, you've lived through a lot more. You have a different voice on this. And so I thought, okay, well, let's speak on it. I didn't think it would end up speaking about it on such a regular basis. But I do think it's important for my channel because I do enjoy having deep conversations. I always have. I think it's important to talk about deeper issues, I think it's important. Okay. Drama channels you no longer talk or interact with, why? Well, Ashley Kyle, I don't talk to. I haven't reached out to her in a long time because she doesn't make videos anymore. I talk to Dustin Daly on a pretty regular basis. I talk to Rich Lux on a pretty regular basis. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't understand those friendships. And all I will say is this, is that Dustin Daly, especially, okay, has really gone the distance for me as a friend. I mean, talk to my best friend Tanya Jean, about after the accident, was, through the pancreatitis. And he has been somebody that has really, ever since we made up years ago, has really suited up and shown up as a friend. And I'm extremely grateful for Dustin. He's given me a lot of advice. Dustin Daly is a friend that tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I'm incredibly grateful for Dustin and our friendship. Rich Lux has also been somebody that has been there for me. I mean, literally, after I came back to YouTube after the accident, I didn't know what to do, was sending me literally lists of you should make these videos. These would be good videos. He still does that. Rich is somebody that sends me receipts all the time, checks in on me, things like that. I talked to Paige Christie. Paige and I are friendly. I don't really know who else. Angelica Oles, I've never really known that well, but I have no issue with her. There's not really anybody. Adam McIntyre, we text every once in a while, just about a video or something like that. But yeah, who else? I think that's about it. Is that all of us that's left? I'm probably forgetting somebody. Somebody's going to be pissed. But, yeah, those are most of the people that I talk to. There's not really anybody that I don't talk to, And if anybody wanted to reach out to me and say, I'm sorry that we had beef and don't get along, I'd be more than willing to work that out with them. Somebody said, is Graveyard Girl a good person behind the scenes? I have never heard anything but absolutely amazing things about Graveyard Girl and that she's a fantastic human being. Have you spoken to James Charles about the allegations against him? At the very, very beginning, I found in my text messages that I had asked him about them. And then somebody said, I can't imagine you keeping influencer secrets, Peter. You're too authentic and genuine to stoop so low. Love you lots. I really appreciate that. I just want to say the reason why I included that one was just to say, I hope that people understand that if there are things that I don't share, it's because there's reasons behind it. It's either that it's not my story to share because it's a victim story, or because somebody else has told me that I'm loyal to as far as a colleague in my community. It's never been about the influencer. The things I've shared with you or the ways that I wanted you to see a story or whatever is because I really have wanted you guys to know the truth about the people that I've talked about. And I will say that that is something that I think has been the common mission of all of us that started way back in the day. It wasn't about getting 1 million views or getting 1 million subscribers or making $1 million or being the next, major talk show host. It was always just about interacting with you guys. We never ever thought we were gonna even have the channels the sizes that we did now. We just were happy for the opportunity to be able to talk about these things. It all started with us being fans of these people just like you. And I've never shied away from that, And I always, with the people that I always see them as human beings. I always want the best for them. And I always hope that, that they'll change and grow, that you'll change and grow, and that I will continue to change and grow as well. And that there will be a day that I won't ever have to make another drama video again, If you guys have any other questions and you'd like me to do a part 2, please put it in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.